Welcome everyone back to Exploring the North Shore, back for the first time in
like a month.
Like 2 months.
Was the last one in July?
The last one was in August, but it was about what we did in July. It was the summer camp one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Holy crap, it's been that long.
Yeah, so yeah. Sorry about that.
Slackers.
There's a few reasons why we haven't been around, so we are going to discuss that in this episode, which will lead into the topic of our episode, which is my favorite place to send people on Halloween, the Kramer Tunnel. So this is Exploring the North Shore with
Martha
and Jay. Yeah, basically I would have done Harry Potter intro music there because it's thematic.
I can just hear it in my head.
There you go. Listen, so replace the song you just heard with that Harry Potter theme song. That's what we were going for. I matched it as close as I could. And that is because, okay, so this, again, there's 3 reasons really we have not done a podcast lately. 1, the end of the summer, it really up until this last weekend, has been insane.
Absolute madness. Everything is just so crazy.
Yeah.
Busy.
And it's not, I was going to say, it's not even COVID-related craziness. It is like normal life.
Yeah.
But brought to the extreme craziness.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I feel like everything that's normally just crazy during COVID has just become extra crazy. Like, it's insane, but like, it's insane now.
That is a perfect...
I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but that's how, like, I'm seeing it in my head.
Yeah, like, I kept thinking in my head, okay, Fisherman's Picnic was canceled. So Fisherman's Picnic weekend is going to be kind of chill and quiet. And it was anything but chill and quiet. It was insane. And then this last weekend was what would have been... Well, it was Moose Madness, but it was a tamed...
Very low-key...
Yeah.
Moose Madness. But we still had a lot of people here.
It wasn't like we had a quiet, low-key summer. It was definitely an insane summer. We've been very busy, and you have especially been really busy because of reason number 2 why we haven't really recorded a lot of podcasts, which is also the same reason as reason number 3.
They all tie in.
They all tie in together. And this one is COVID related. So my kids are distance learning. I have, 2 of my kids are distance learning, and the third one was supposed to start preschool this year, and preschool is not happening. So I have 3 kids at home who don't have any place to go during the day. So we decided to start doing some homeschooling, just to kind of take the distance learning pressure, kind of, I guess, off the teacher was my brain process in the beginning, but also just give me something to do, which brings me to the 3rd reason. Because my kids aren't in school, I am taking a leave of absence from work, and I am only working 1 day a week now.
Yes.
So when you have a job like mine, which I don't even know if I've discussed what my actual job is.
We get a lot of questions about that, like when you were running for county commissioner, and they had asked you about like your job. I started getting a lot of questions from people like, what is it that you guys do exactly? And I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to put a name on it, what we do, because it's kind of all over the place sometimes.
My actual job title, and this is the actual job title that was given to me by the owner of the company, is Digital and Social Media Czaress.
If you guys ever have been on the website, please look at the like meet our staff section. And
this is the Cascade Vacation Rentals website now.
Yeah.
So I work for 2. I own a company which is Exploring the North Shore, and that has a website. And then both Martha and I work for Cascade Vacation Rentals.
Wait, do you have your email picture as your picture on?
I have the one where I'm carrying the chair on my back.
Yeah, I flipping love that picture. It is so hilarious to me.
So that chair. Funny story, if you've ever seen that picture and you're like, why does she have a chair on her back? We purchased this really cool blue velvet chair for me to take to... There's this whole video series we have planned. Again, it was supposed to happen this summer, but then COVID. where I was going to be able to take this chair to various places and be just randomly sitting at, like, my plan was I was going to wear, like, a cocktail dress and be sitting on this velvet chair, like, just completely out of place, but then be talking about the history of the place. Just a fun idea we came up with.
I had never even heard that idea.
Really? That's why we have a chair that has straps on it like a backpack.
That's funny. And no, I never heard the story behind the chair.
Buying that chair was actually crazy because I was trying to find a chair that wasn't going to be too heavy that I can then carry on my back. Yeah, and that one's only 23 pounds.
It's my chair backpack.
It's my chair backpack.
Can't put anything in it, but...
You know, you want to be comfy. So if I'm going to go somewhere... I was actually thinking about this. I don't have to vote in person because I live in a mail-in only district, so we don't even have a polling place. But if I did, and I knew there was going to be a really long line on election day, I was going to take my chair. Oh, time to move. Pick up a chair, put it on my back,
move it over.
Walk a few feet up, put it back down, grab a seat, open a good book. Oh yeah, we were talking about our jobs, but I was talking about the 3 reasons. Wow, we just went off. So to clarify, what our job is we are, I would say, video and photo, digital media, and social media professionals.
Yeah.
So
I'm
fancy.
Getting there. I'm still, especially now since I'm doing a lot of it now, I'm getting better at it. But.
So we take a lot of pictures, we edit a lot of pictures, we do stories, we have the blog. Again, I manage both Exploring the North Shore and Cascade Vacation Rentals. So if you've ever been on both, you might notice that kind of, I guess how this flow and sound is kind of similar because I'm writing both. But you've taken over writing a lot of the blog posts for Cascade. Or animal series.
I think, I've done a couple of the animals completely myself, and then I did, my favorite one that I did so far was the Park Point one.
Oh, yeah.
I love the history on Park Point.
And you know it, you're very familiar with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I basically lived
every
there
summer.
in the summer. Yeah.
So that is what we do for a living. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I take a leave of absence. And everything kind of gets dumped onto Martha then. So what had been a job that 2 people were doing is now a job that 1 person was doing.
With the help of you, I probably call you at least twice a week, like, oh my God, what's going on? I don't know what this means.
Or we have like our inter-office chat, which is called Slack. And they're all like, every day I'll be like, oh, another Slack message. Oh, another Slack message. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to... just say I'm still working, but I'm officially only coming into the office 1 day a week. And when you're only in the office 1 day a week, that is a lot of stuff I have to fit in
8 hours.
So doing a podcast, it's kind of,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So anyway, as I said before, and the topic of this podcast episode is going to be actually how I turned Cook County into basically all of Harry Potter land. Mm-hmm. So to explain that really quick, when I decided to homeschool, I started researching curriculums. I'm like, in my head, given I've never homeschooled before, my kids are in kindergarten, 2nd grade, and then of course I have my preschooler. There's like 3 homeschool curriculums you have to pick from. And you just pick from that and you teach your kids that. That's not.
Were they ones like the school had given you?
No.
Did the school give any
That's
curriculum?
What I thought. No, school didn't give me anything because I decided to kind of do this on my own. Supplementing because my kids are still enrolled in school, but it was more, I just wanted to fill up our day more. And I know a lot of people hearing this are like, what do you mean? We're distance learning and it fills up our whole day. Well, then GES, which is Great Expectations School, they did go back in person, but they gave you the option for distance learning. We chose distance learning primarily because we could. I guess it's kind of, it sounds like this is a very privileged answer, but we had the ability to not have to send our kids back to school. Also, my father-in-law was living with us at the start of the school year, and he is 65 plus. He is recovering from double pneumonia last year, so he was really sick.
Jesus.
There was like a point where my mother-in-law was calling us and she's like, you guys need to call Craig because I think he might be dying. Like it was really intense for a while. He's better now, but there was that kind of thought in her head like, oh man, your lungs are beat up.
This is like
So we just decided to try to eliminate as many points of contact as possible that could be in the house, and stuff. So we did not send our kids back to school. That's kind of the short answer. The other reason we did decide to do it is because of GES's precautions. I think they're amazing. The kids wear face masks and face shields.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, they've really gone out, but I didn't. I mean, it was just in my head. I was like, I wouldn't want to be wearing a face mask and face shield while I'm learning. They do a ton of stuff outside.
Oh yeah.
And the kids don't wear the shields when they're outside, but it was still just one of those things where I'm like, you know what, I can keep my kids home, so I'm going to keep my kids home.
Yeah.
It worked better for our family situation at the time.
I mean, and you just have more control over who they're around, and because you can't control where other people go and how they choose to live their life outside of school. And with your kids at home, you are in control of the situation. I totally understand that.
So I took a leave of absence. I'm only working 1 day a week, and I decided to have some fun. So the first week, like I said, I found this homeschool curriculum, which again, like I was saying, homeschool curriculums are insane. There's literally thousands of them, and they have different styles and different functions, and like some are religious and some are secular, and I just like, I was so overwhelmed that I just asked like a group of friends, and they're like, oh, check out Blossom and Root. So I actually did purchase the Blossom and Root curriculum, which is a nature-based, literature-heavy curriculum. And it was great. I actually did enjoy doing it. But then a friend of mine, Alyssa Herzog, so shout out to you. Hope I just said your last name correct, posted on Facebook that she was also homeschooling this year, and she was doing a Harry Potter curriculum.
Oh, I didn't know you got it from somebody else.
Yep. And I just was like, that's it. That's how I can make this super interesting for me, for the kids, and
it's turned into an all-house thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I just include myself in the house because I spend a lot of time there.
And I didn't just get the curriculum, which, I mean, it was a $40 curriculum. It gives you worksheets and ideas and kind of a basic lesson plan. You kind of create your own world around it. I went all out.
Yep, balls to the wall.
Balls to the wall. I researched a bunch of really random stuff. And I've been having so much fun. So when we started in the first 4 chapters of the first Harry Potter book, basically you read a chapter a day, and then you do lessons around a certain subject like alchemy, astronomy, potions. All of these things are real world things. So potions is just basic chemistry or like science experiments. Alchemy was the study of rocks and minerals. There's care of magical creatures, it's kind of a combination of animal mythology as well as animal biology. So, you know, you can take it wherever you really want to go with it. And it's both very interesting, and it's been very interesting for me, but also educational for the kids. I'm actually teaching them topics that they were learning. Like Bear's distance learning class was learning about rocks. The same week we did alchemy. This week we're learning about astronomy. Or no, this week was potions, but next week is astronomy. So it's applicable. It's an actual homeschool curriculum. If you are interested, it's called Waldock Way. That's WALDOCK. So Waldock Way Wizards and Wands. But yeah, so that is what I decided to do, and then I decided to go all out, and really I went all out with the first 4 chapters of the first book, which is before Harry ever gets to Hogwarts. So the first chapter was, it's basically the boy under the stairs, so I had my kids eat a meal. We converted a staircase in our house. We covered the top part of the staircase and turned it into a pantry. So underneath our pantry is still like this staircase and a closet now. So I had the kids eat lunch in the staircase under the...
What?
They loved it.
How did you not tell me this?
Oh, that was the funnest day ever. They did not want to leave. They wanted to play in there all day. Oh my god,
that's hilarious. Like the space
by
the bathroom?
Yeah, by the bathroom underneath where the pantry is now.
That is hilarious. I did not know that.
And then when Harry finally got the acceptance letter, were you there the day we dropped?
Yes, I was.
Yes.
That was quite the event.
I had the brilliant idea to drop their acceptance letter down our chimney because, so in the book, in the movie, the letters fly down the chimney and fly through every opening of the house. So Cody, my husband, climbs up on the roof and drops the letters down the chimney. Only there's
one
something
falls.
I learned. I learned something valuable about chimneys that day, and that is they are not straight.
Yeah, I guess I never would have thought about that either. Like, you just assume that it goes straight up.
You drop something down it's going to land in the fireplace. That's not the case.
That's not how it happened.
One of ours landed in a fireplace. I learned a second valuable lesson about our personal chimney that day, and that is very, very dirty.
Oh, God, yeah. So much ash.
So
fell down.
Stuff is coming down, and I'm like, one of the letters got buried underneath all the ash, so I was able to pull that one out, but the other two didn't come down. Shining a light, and my kids are like, Mom, what are you doing? And I'm like, just hold on, guys. Beating up in the chimney with like a stick or something.
We tried to do it like so sneakily. Something fell down the chimney, and they're like, well, who did that? And they eventually figured out that it was Cody, and trying to keep them in the house, and they're outside like, what's Dad doing up there?
You're just like, ignore him. Go read your letter.
Yeah, just don't worry about it.
So then the next thing I did, they got their letters that night. So the next day I took them. Oh.
I feel like we should mention that you put all of the letters in the wrong envelope.
Yes!
So it was like, Bear got Calla's. I think
Callie
Calla got Daisy's, and Daisy got
Bears.
Bears.
I screwed the pooch on that one so bad. Luckily, my kids are young enough that they didn't really notice, but I was just like, I put the wrong letters in the wrong envelope.
It was
What's
pretty
wrong
funny.
with me? The envelopes are stuck in our chimney now. We got them all down eventually. All the kids got their letters. They were super excited. So along with their letters, they got a map of Diagon Alley, which I had spent more time than I want to admit on this, probably like 10 hours.
I mean, the process of it.
Well, actually doing it, but I'm
Like
saying
a week
the
or
preparation, what I'm about
Yeah.
to share, was when I turned downtown Grand Marais into Diagon Alley. I spent way more time on that than I should. So I researched every single store that's mentioned in the book, which luckily all this stuff is in the movies and also in the Universal Studios version of Diagon Alley. So luckily all this information was easily online. What I did was I tried to match the store with the theme in Diagon Alley. So basically I took a store in downtown Grand Marais and I'm like, this is going to be this equivalent to a store in Diagon Alley. So, for example, what's a good one? There's a few places where I'm like, okay, I don't know if this could be this or this could be that, but I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. Amanuensis quills? Amanuensis quill? That's a big hint. Amanuensis. It's a quill shop. I made that Joy & Company because they have all the art supplies.
Yeah.
So we went there to buy their, quote, quills, but really we went there to buy them some markers and crayons and stuff. I made Joy's Ben Franklin. I made Ilop's Owl Emporium and the Magical Menagerie because that's where I took the kids to look at their stuffed animal collection. And they got to pick
their pet that they bring to school with them.
Their school pet. So the day we went to Diagon Alley, this was like the first time actually my kids had been into a store since everything started back in March. So they were super excited about that. I took them into 3 stores and then we went to a 4th store. So the first one we actually went to was Flourish and Blots, which is where you buy your books. Can you guess what store that was?
Was it
Drury Lane. Yep, so Drury Lane was Flourish and Blots. Then we went to Ilop's Owl Emporium and the Magical Menagerie, which was, again, Joy's Ben Franklin. And we went across the street to the quill shop. I'm not going to try to say the name. And we bought their kind of art supplies. And then we ended up at, oh gosh, what did I end up calling this one? Oh yeah, Sugar Plum Sweet Shop.
So that would have been the Mercantile?
Yep, the Gunflint Mercantile.
Yeah.
So if you're curious, I do have a map that I created along with which businesses is which. So I'm going to see if you can guess.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh God. Here we go.
Now this one is a geographical as well as a aesthetically matching
Mind
one.
you, I have never done the touristy thing of really going to the
You'll know
shops
this.
downtown.
We'll know this one really quick.
that
So
should
which
be
one?
interesting.
Which one do you think I made the Leaky Cauldron?
Leaky Cauldron.
So it's a pub. It's kind of.
Oh, did you stay? Were you on which side of 61 were you on?
So the whole downtown area. So basically from.
I would say the tavern.
Yeah, it was the tavern.
The Gunflint Tavern.
Gunflint Tavern. So the Gunflint Tavern
that makes sense. It really does have that, like...
It does.
That feel to it.
And it has the brick wall. Which if it were not COVID time, I would have, like, talked to them and be like, can I come in and, like, tap your brick wall with a wand and then walk out? But I didn't want to... I didn't want to mess with things too much. Let me see here. So Wizard Books is another, like, bookstore. I made that Birch Bark Gifts. So Birch Bark Gifts is next door to Joins.
Okay.
Behind it. Moving back then up that street, the Daily Prophet was the Cook County News Herald building. And then, because it doesn't exist yet, and I thought to myself, I was giggling so much when I did some of these. Weasley Wizard Wheezes, holy cow, I never realized how hard that was to say, doesn't exist in the first book, because the twins don't open it until I think the seventh book.
Their fun shop?
Their fun shop. So I made that... Grand Marais / the Legion because it's currently closed.
Oh, that's funny.
And so I'm like, coming soon! Something to this building maybe at some point in time, who knows?
Yeah.
Number 7 is the Quality Quidditch Supplies. So moving across the street, that's Buck's Hardware.
I thought so.
Another thing that's interesting about me doing this, I actually did ask on our Grand Marais community page, like, if you were downtown, if downtown were to be Diagon Alley, what store would be what? So many people gave me such great ideas. And then a couple were like, can we request our business be this?
Yeah.
So Holiday actually requested that they be Wiseacres Wizarding Equipment, so I made them that. I wanted everything represented, and I also wanted to kind of give every downtown business something.
Yeah.
So moving down again, so number 8, Twilfit and Tatlings is like a high-end wizarding store. Mm-hmm. I think there's some reference to like wealthy families going in there. So I made that Upstate MN, which is one of my favorite stores in all of Grand Marais, and I have to resist from going in there because I do end up spending $60 on a blanket.
There's really, really cool stuff in there.
Yeah, but it's a little out of my budget. But you absolutely should go to Upstate MN because Christopher is amazing, and even though it's COVID, so you can't get a hug from him, usually when you walk in, like, Christopher will come up and give you a big hug. So, it's one of those sad things that we kind of lost with COVID, but he's still open, he's still there, so that's awesome. Just a few other random ones that I thought were also really funny.
Did you do, what's the one I'm thinking of? Is it Bergen and Burke? What is it called? It's where the Vanishing Cabinet is.
Isn't that in
that in Diagon Alley?
I thought that was in,
Is it what?
My gosh,
is that what it's called?
I should point out that I'm not a huge Harry Potter person. I'm not, I've read the books all when I was a kid. I haven't reread them, and I've watched the movies maybe once.
Oh.
But isn't that in the Bad Witches neighborhood?
Well, yeah, it's the bad part of Diagon Alley.
But it's not Diagon Alley, it's Nocturne Alley.
There we go. That's what I was thinking of.
You claim to be the Harry Potter fan, yet I'm the one that came up with Nocturne Alley, the Bad Witches neighborhood.
That's where I belong.
That's kind of where
you'll find me.
I will definitely live there if I...
Yeah, because Harry accidentally goes there.
Yes.
And then Hagrid's like, what are you doing here?
Yep, so that was Nocturne Alley. So I did not do Nocturne Alley.
Okay.
Although maybe I'll turn Lutzen into Nocturne Alley. Anyway, just a few other fun ones was Gringotts Bank was probably the easiest one. There is a bank downtown Grand Marais.
Oh my god, you didn't.
I did.
The bank that everybody will swear up and down is a Ponzi scheme, and there's something going on there that's
now before anybody gets mad at us, I'm sure it is a legitimate bank. I just personally know nobody who banks. If you've
I've
been
never
to Grand
seen
Marais,
a person in there.
Never seen
a car parked in that parking lot during hours. I've asked people who work at Sven's, do you ever see anybody go in there? And they're like, no. It's really weird.
It's really weird.
It's really weird.
I'm not saying anything bad about a business in town, but
it's just interesting.
Next time you're in Grand Marais, you can stand outside the market and look across the street at the bank there. And just see if anybody goes in or out. And let me know if they do, because I don't think I ever have. It's been I've lived here... Wait, I've lived here longer than that. I've lived here 6 years. And
I've even asked people who grew up here about it, and they're like, I have never, not once, seen anybody go into that place. I've never seen anybody park there and go in there. I'm like,
people work there.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I don't know those people.
Yeah, who works there?
They don't work. They're not in my bubble, so they don't. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so there's a fun adventure for you, is see how many people go into Gringotts while you are there. So anyway, I turned downtown Grand Marais into Diagon Alley. I took my kids to buy their school supplies. They did buy their pets. My son bought a dragon. My daughter bought, my middle daughter bought a polar bear.
Hey.
And my youngest daughter bought Rocky from Paw Patrol. I was like, you guys, what about an owl? Harry got an owl. What about like a cat?
What are did we
cat, toad, owl.
There we go. Okay.
Are the three that you're supposed to have.
That's such a weird, like, why those three?
I know. And then you'll notice people, like, Ron has a rat. So clearly, and there's actually a thing on the Wizarding World app, which we're going to get to the Wizarding World app and how that played into this in a minute, where you can read articles but in the Daily Prophet. Like, they actually publish articles as though it's a Daily Prophet. Mm-hmm. And one of them was that Hogwarts changed their pet policy because to allow for more exotic pets. God,
that's so cool.
So I was like, all right,
pick what you want.
I guess a polar bear is an acceptable school pet nowadays.
Hey.
Shrug. A dragon? Yeah, okay, didn't work out for Hagrid, but maybe it'll work out for you, Bear.
Bear can do it. If anybody can do it, Bear can do it.
So that was day one. Now, of course, then the next chapter in the book is Harry going to platform 9 3/4, boarding the Hogwarts Express, and taking that to Hogwarts. And I played around with a few variations of how I could do this in my head, and one of them was to go down to Duluth and take the scenic railroad.
Is it still?
It's still running. I actually did look into it because I was like, okay. But literally all of this, and I should point out how my youngest daughter, the 3-year-old, was not with us for the Diagon Alley day. It was just my older two that I brought.
Oh, I thought you guys did bring her away.
She was actually with, but they stayed outside. So Cody walked around with her while we went into the stores. Except for joints. She did go into joints with us. It was kind of like in my head, I'm like, I'm doing all of this to keep my kids away from people right now. So it did make sense to drive them all the way to Duluth to do like a 20-minute train ride with other people. Even though that train would have been so Hogwarts Express feeling. Yes. It would have worked out so good. So good. But ultimately, we decided not to do that, and instead we went for the best thing we could find locally, which, fun fact, in Cook County, there's no trains, there's no railroads. There was a railroad one time, oh yeah, you just got that, I saw that look on your face, many, many years ago, that ran up to Lutsen Mountains. I don't remember the purpose of it, somebody was telling me about it. It went from the lake up to Lutsen Mountains. There's never been a railroad, right?
That's so weird. I've never actually sat and thought about that.
The only place you'll see a railroad, and this is still technically, and I shouldn't, okay, take that back. There's one in Cook County, but it's at the very edge on the border of Lake County and Cook County, and it leads to the Taconite Harbor plant. And those were the 3 overpasses you pass under. That's now just 2 overpasses because they had to take one down a couple of years ago when a truck hit it. No, it just cracked when a truck hit it. It had been sagging, and it sagged enough for the truck who should have been able to fit based on the clearance. Yeah. It didn't fit anymore. Ooh, it hit it.
That had to be an interesting day.
It cracked, and literally that day they took it down. The crew got out there, they took it down that day. Because I got stuck on the other side of it.
Oh, yeah, nobody could.
I was down in North Haven, which is one of our rental properties.
I remember hearing about that. I think that was kind of right before I moved here.
And I was like, well, that's super interesting. I can't get back to the office the way I usually go. There's a detour. That was quite lovely, actually. That's all we have by way of railways. And that railroad has been shut down actively shut down since like early 2000s. Yeah. And then there was like a few trains that would come and go for whatever reason. But it hasn't been used since like 2008. That brings me to the place that we went for platform 9 3/4 and the Hogwarts Express, and you were with us on this journey.
And we kind of started off spooky season. We went to the Cramer Tunnel. Okay, now, I do have to give a little bit of a disclaimer, because anytime this comes up, there always seems to be this debate of whether this
area is on public land or on private land. And I did extensive research. And first of all, there is no trespassing, private property. There's no signs. I've actually physically looked. I've looked around. I'm like, okay, there's nothing.
I mean, if they really didn't want people to go there, wouldn't they just close it back up?
Yeah. Except it was closed and then people opened it. But
yeah.
I would think they would just post like really big, like no trespassing or like danger under your own risk.
Yeah.
I don't even know who still technically owns it or who manages. Because Taconite Harbor itself is closing down and should be completely shut down by 2022. So it was supposed to be 2020. I don't know why they extended it.
The safe harbor?
No, not the safe harbor, the actual plant.
Okay.
And the plant is running on a skeleton crew. I did look. It's public land. The pit that we drove into, that's public. Mm-hmm. That is public property. It's like on public lands where we parked. Okay. The tunnel itself is also on public land, except for one tiny section belongs to, like, it kind of falls into the property line of a house that's further down. So there's like a little sliver that's technically on private property. So I just want to give that disclaimer. Most of it's on public land. There's a tiny sliver that's not. Yeah, if you look at the plat map, it's just like this little thing goes up into it and you're like, what? There are no trespassing signs. There's nothing that implies you shouldn't go there. It is on public property. So that's where I'm leaving that. And you can decide for yourself if this is something you feel safe doing or not. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Cramer Tunnel before I tell you about our adventure into it. It is the longest railroad tunnel in the state of Minnesota, and the actual distance from the entrance to the exit is 1,800 feet. Now, compared to the Ely Tunnel in Duluth, that is 550.
Small. Yeah.
So this is like 3 of those.
And it feels never ending when you're
going
through it. You literally feel like you've been in the same spot for like 10 minutes.
The exit and the entrance both seem to always stay the same size. And you're like, how is that possible? It's the weirdest like optical illusion. So the actual tunnel was built during the peak of the taconite industry in the 1950s. And LTV Steel used a 72-mile railroad system to connect their Hoyt Lakes Taconite plant with their Taconite Harbor shipping port. So that's why that was built in the first place, basically to take taconite from Hoyt Lakes to Taconite Harbor. And as you walk along it today, if you look down, there's balls of taconite covering the whole area.
Yeah, there was a point where we were walking through and I was like, couldn't get traction with my shoes and I was slipping all over them.
Like, what is this stuff? You will actually pass under the end of that railroad again when you're in Schroeder, and that's those overpasses. Mm-hmm. Again, there was 3, now there's 2. So now abandoned, this tunnel is an off-the-beaten-path gem that even many locals aren't really aware of. In fact, whenever I bring up Cramer Tunnel, everybody's like, what are you talking about? Where? That's here? Yeah. It is technically in Lake County. It's near the town of Finland. There's actually a little ghost town called Cramer there, and it's just past that. To put this area in perspective, for those who are familiar with it, it's kind of in between Finland and the Crosby-Manitow State Park in that area. So there's not a lot up there. It's just a lot of nothingness, but in the middle of that is this railroad tunnel. You can't see it from the road. In fact, you can't even really see it. Where we parked, we had to walk all the way up. You don't see it until you're literally right there.
Yeah, it just appears. Hidden. It's like the entrance is hidden by the rocks so perfectly that you don't see it until you're right there.
Yeah. It's pretty, kind of got that spooky element to it because of that. Yeah. You're in the middle of nowhere. It's really quiet. Both times I've gone there, I didn't see other people other than the people I was with. So I didn't see other people, except for at one point, like another couple would randomly show up. So we had that one couple that walked past us when we were there. And the first time I went there, I was by myself and I was taking 360 pictures. With my 360 camera. So I had set it up and I was like hiding behind a tree, and this guy walks up and he sees me and I see him and he's like, hi. I'm like, hi. And he looks at me, he's like, my wife is coming, or something like that. And I was like, okay. It was a very bizarre encounter. You can read about that in the Cramer Tunnel article.
Like, I'm not here to murder anyone.
I'm not here. No,
we're not following you.
I'm not murdering you. You're not murdering me. We're just going to make that very clear.
A mutual non-murdering situation.
On the Cascade Vacation Rentals website, you can find the blog post on Cramer Tunnel, and it goes into my encounter with that gentleman and my apology to him because I'm pretty sure I freaked him out. In October of 2008, the last train made the trek to Taconite Harbor. So that was the last time a train went through was 2008. However, regular use of the tunnel ceased earlier. It was like 2001. So there's just the occasional train that would go through. Since then, it has been completely abandoned. And I always get people who have the concern of, what if a train randomly does go through? It can't.
Yeah, it can't.
Because first of all, the track just a couple miles up the road is gone. Mm-hmm. And a couple miles the other way, I've been told, part of the track has been shifted. It's kind of lifted up on its side. So that track would be impassable without extensive work done on the track. And then those are the only parts we could see. That goes many more miles that hasn't been touched for over a decade. And that sort of thing doesn't tend to hold up very well. The tunnel itself is completely abandoned. It is 1,800 feet. I want to say it took us... It's so weird because the passage of time was so bizarre.
Yeah, like I said,
10 minutes?
You literally felt like you were in the same spot for like 5 minutes. And you're like, did I even get anywhere? You look back and you're like, oh my god, I don't feel like it's like a time warp. What is going on?
So we all dressed up in our Harry Potter garb, and we had our
wands.
So I actually have to go back because something else happened after our trip to Diagon Alley, and that was my kids got their wands. So we made Ollivander's wand shop our house, and I had bought wands for each of the kids, so they each got their wand. And so we had our wands, we had our hats, we had our little capes that we have, and we went to Cramer Tunnel. I actually invited along someone who's new in town who had met on Facebook in the Grand Marais community page, Christina Matson and her family, and I was like, hey, you're new in town, come to this cool thing with us. I don't know you, you don't know me, but we're going to be in a group. So they joined us. So there was a group of us that showed up, and we walked up the hill to the tunnel. We walked through the tunnel. And what I found was really funny, the first time I went, I was by myself, and I did attempt to walk through, and I thought I got halfway through. I got maybe like a fourth of the way through.
Yep.
And I didn't have a lamp or a light, and it is pitch black.
You tried to do that in the...
Yes, I did. Yes. I know. I did not go prepared. By myself, with no light.
We were with a group of people, and there was a point where I, like, freaked myself out completely and was just like, oh my god, I don't know if I can go any further.
So thank you for understanding, because I got a lot of grief from people for not finishing the walk through the tunnel.
Well, no, there's that point where it goes from being...
Yes.
Like, concrete to just rock. And so, like, all of a sudden it's all smooth and you're walking down, and then all of a sudden you just see these weird shadows. And with my glasses, I couldn't really see what I was seeing, and you've got all the people with their, like, flashlights behind you. So there's just these figures, and it like, my heart sank. It dropped. Like, I literally...
You did scream.
Yeah. I freaked out because I was like, oh my god, what is that? And it's just like, oh no, it just went from, like, concrete to just rock.
Bare rock. And that is how I know I didn't make it very far the first time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that was going to happen.
It scared the bejesus out of me. Oh my god.
So yes, maybe a third of the way through, if you enter from the more popular place that people enter from, which is by the gravel pit, and you walk up, if you enter from there, the first, I don't even know, because it was such a weirdly delirious travel into this space, and maybe the first 500-600 feet was nice concrete finished tunnel, and then all of a sudden it's just this bare rocks jutting out, like, water dripping through the ceiling. It's really spooky, which is why we were doing this episode.
Just thinking about it, my heart was like,
Martha's like
making myself nervous over here.
Like sweating over there.
It was so scary. Like, honestly, it took all in me not to, like, start running.
Martha's like, be brave, you're with a ton of people right now.
With a bunch of kids who are, like, having no issue with it. And I'm like, oh my god, this is freaking scary.
Well, it's because we gave the kids the headlamps, and they're running around with all the graffiti. So anyway, it goes from being unfinished, and then at the very end, it kind of becomes finished again, briefly, and then you're out, and you're like, holy cow, that was an adventure. It was crazy. And what we had told the kids was that we were going to go to platform 9 3/4, and then when we got there, the Hogwarts Express didn't show up, so we had to walk to Hogwarts. That was the story, so that's how we walked through the tunnel. We took a bunch of pictures of my kids because they were flipping adorable and their little...
Didn't you get a video of me freaking out?
I did not get... Oh, did I get a video?
I think you were recording that moment I lost.
Hold on. Oh, I did! Hold on. Let's see if we have audio on this.
Okay, it does get really dark in here. Okay, I would turn around right here if I was by myself. I think this is about where I turned around. This is creepy because it goes out. It just scared the crap out of me.
Okay, so yes, this is audio of Martha flipping out.
Yeah, you hear me in the beginning like, whoa! Like I lost all the air in my chest and was just like, what is going on? Where are the walls?
I want to say it probably only takes 5 minutes to walk through, but it feels a lot.
Feels
maybe
like
10.
forever.
I don't know.
Like 5 or 7 minutes.
Yeah, it just give yourself time. If you're gonna go, definitely give yourself plenty of time to the walk up from the parking area. Which again, if you go to the Cascade Vacation Rentals website and find the Cramer
it's like a short
Tunnel,
little hike.
It's a short little hike up a little hill, and then it almost feels like you're like, how far do we have to go? In fact, I think at one point one of the kids was like, how far away is this place?
And then we were there.
And I'm like, it's really close. Like you don't think it's gonna be really close. You feel like it's really far away, and then all of a sudden it appears out of nowhere.
Like magic.
So give yourself time to not just walk through the tunnel, but there's also pretty stuff along that area. We went during the peak of fall, like just past peak.
Yeah, just past peak there. If we had gone the week before, we probably would have gotten like the pretty peak colors.
Yes. We were past peak in Lake County at that point, but it was still really pretty. Mm-hmm. In fact, I want to say it was still really pretty here up until about a week and a half ago when we had a really big
because now everything's falling.
And everything fell off.
Getting blown off.
Everything got blown off. So it was really pretty. It was very picturesque. If you go now, it's going to be super eerie. And if you go in the winter, bring snowshoes for at least the outside part, but then you can take them off inside. I've seen people who did the hike in the winter, and it looks so cool in the winter time.
We should try that.
So maybe we will. Who knows? Future has a lot to hold for the podcast, except for I'm only working 1 day a week through the end of the year. Anyway, that was our little adventure to Hogswarts, to actually get to Hogswarts.
What did you just say?
What was it? I almost said Hogsmeade. Why are these names so similar? Hogsmeade.
You just mixed the two of them. I was like, what are you saying?
Hogsmeades? Hogswarts is what I said. I said, okay. I've been talking too much right now.
Hogwarts.
So we got back in the car, and we went back home, and we decided to do the... Oh, then I read the next chapter while we were there.
Yeah.
On the way home, because, we had the drive from... It takes, 45 minutes to get from... Maybe even longer, almost an hour, to get from Grand Marais to the tunnel.
Yeah.
So during that drive, I read the next chapter.
It started raining, and it was like downpouring on the way there.
I totally forgot about that.
And then it rained the whole way back, didn't it?
But it didn't rain at all while we were there.
Which was awesome.
Super crazy. That's right. The clouds were super crazy. That's right. I'm remembering this whole thing now. This is a couple of weeks ago, people. Cut me some slack. A lot of stuff has happened during this time. Yeah, it poured rain the whole way there and the whole way back. And the clouds were super cool. And I got this really awesome picture of my daughter standing on the railroad track with these crazy clouds. So I'll also put that. I'm actually going to put that on Exploring the North Shore. So if you go to Exploring the North Shore, I'm going to make up this whole Harry Potter meets Grand Marais article, and it's going to be there. So we went back home, and we decided to do the sorting hat ceremony, and that kind of set us up to starting...
Do you want to tell them how we... decided how we figured out our houses?
About a week before all of this happened, I made everybody I know, which is my husband, Martha, our friend Nate, and the kids.
And then eventually we got our friend Casey into it, yeah.
I made everybody download the Wizarding World app.
I kind of want to make Nate do it.
You should.
Because he comes to game night.
By the way, there's 2 Nates we're talking about here.
Oh, God, yeah.
We'll call one Franklin. One's called Franklin, the other one's called Nate. So anyway.
So weird calling him Franklin.
It's weird. The world is weird. We did the sorting hat ceremony and how I figured out what house everybody was going to go into. Again, you have to realize that I was going crazy at this point because I am a workaholic. So to no longer be working anymore and having huge projects to do was driving me a little batty in the beginning. So I created a huge project for myself. As part of that, I made everybody download the Wizarding World app and do the sorting hat ceremony. And I was like, okay, what did you end up being? And somehow, we magically, evenly fell into houses.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm still surprised by that, how that worked out.
I honestly thought you guys were all going to be Hufflepuffs, except for me.
I
Daisy.
really didn't know what I was going to be. What alarm is that?
That's the kids have distance learning face-to-face classes with their teacher today.
I should keep that in there.
Yes. So there you go. At 2:30 every day, my kids sit down with their teachers and like go over stuff with them. So that's how we're doing distance learning, is they have one 30-minute meeting a day with their teachers, and that's it. It's very lovely. Anyway, now going back to the sorting hat ceremony. Martha, why don't you say, where are you?
I'm a Hufflepuff.
So I was correct about that. And Cody, my husband, I thought for sure would be a Hufflepuff.
But he wasn't, and it's so funny because she's like, make him take it again.
I'm like,
he has to do it again.
He lied to not be a Hufflepuff because he is a Hufflepuff. Now,
That's so Hufflepuff of him.
That's so Hufflepuff of him. He's a Ravenclaw, and I am, and this one, okay, I try to read things to my kids in such a way where I'm like, all right, you guys, we have to notice how the perception of a certain house is very negative without focusing on its positive qualities. And that is because I am a Slytherin. Through and through, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I am a Slytherin.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. I mean, that's like instantaneous. I am definitely like, oh my gosh, if Hogwarts were real and I went to it, I would want the dungeon common area with the view of the pond, and I would just sit there and stare at all the mer people and stuff like that. Like, it would be amazing, and that is where I would want to be. Screw the towers and your warm fireplaces and Hufflepuff being really close to the kitchen, which would be nice, but not, whatever. I will take the dungeon with a view, okay? That is what I want.
My own little
that is where I belong. So I am a Slytherin. So the three of us divided really nicely, and then Franklin, that is so weird. Yeah, but Franklin was sorted into Gryffindor. So the four of us very, very nicely sorted into our houses. So we kind of made ourselves the leader of those houses. And then I have 3 kids, as I've said before.
And I was very shocked on this, the way they played out.
Yeah.
Not Daisy.
No, Daisy. So Daisy, my 3-year-old, is 100% through and through in every way, shape, and form a mini me. And so clearly she was in Slytherin. I even had her, because she's too young to kind of do the quiz, so I would ask my older two, I'm like, okay guys, what would Daisy do in this situation? And they would be like, oh, she would do that. Like, heads nodding. Like,
they know their sister so well.
She would definitely be the one to do that. Mm-hmm. So she is in Slytherin. My oldest son, Bear, I thought was going to be a Hufflepuff. And I thought my daughter, Callie, was going to be a Ravenclaw. I was wrong, but now seeing where they got sorted into, it makes perfect sense to me. Bear is an academic overachiever. He got put into Ravenclaw. And my daughter is like this crazy chicken-loving, animal-loving, like her stuffed animals have a soul and a spirit, and they come to life and they talk to her all the time. So clearly she is Hufflepuff.
Yeah, and she likes to bring her chickens inside to sit with her and watch TV. Like,
she sneaks them into her bedroom.
I will never get over that picture of just her with her chickens. Just like, oh.
Watching TV.
Little chicken lady.
It's like, oh, you're so cute. So that is where everybody sorted, and then we brought Casey in, and we sorted her into, or she got sorted into Gryffindor. So we ended up
all evenly.
There's two
in
of
each
us
house.
In every house. And yes, I am one of those crazy people where I painted the house points ticker thingies on my window, and we do a countdown. Or not a countdown, we do house points. So my kids get points for doing well on assignments, for doing schoolwork without arguing, for cleaning up their bedroom, for doing their chores, things like that. The grown-ups get a small amount of points for going to work.
Yeah.
Which means I don't get those because I don't want to work.
That's okay. What you don't get in work points, you get in game points.
I do get a game points. And then on Friday nights, we have our game night, which is like a virtual, like it's Jackbox. I don't know if everybody plays that, but it's like on the TV and you do it on your phone. So we will have game night, and basically if you win a game, your house gets 3 points. So I would be constantly standing up like 3 points for Slytherin because I win everything all the time. And
like, and she already always wins the games, but like it's like even crazier now. Like, we literally do not stand a chance in any way of getting first if Jay is playing the game.
Which just goes to show you how I truly was oftentimes letting you guys
You get bored. Somebody else can.
I am a winner all the time.
Yeah,
Let's give this one to Martha.
Like, Nate did go through a phase, or Franklin, we'll say Franklin. He went through a phase where, like, he was winning a lot, very randomly. And I was like, what?
I was throwing him a bone.
Throwing him a bone.
That's the Slytherin in me. I'm both extremely competitive, but also like to let other people occasionally have a moment before I take it back. And now that there's points involved, I can't just let people win.
Oh yeah.
I think I won. We played like 9 games the first day, and I want to say I won 7 of them, and then got second place in the other 2.
Yeah, so second place also gets
1 point. So that is basically what life has become for us. I am completely immersed. And not only did I create these house points on the window of my dining room, I have
You've created like a little Hogwarts corner over there.
And people, my dad actually made a comment the other day. He's like, I feel like you might be going a little bit too far with this.
I mean,
I have the flag for each house above the window. On the ceiling fan, which we're no longer using because it's winter, I have like witches' hats hanging off of there. There's a backdrop of the Hogwarts library on the wall.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, when my daughter does her virtual class, she sits in front of it, and it literally looks like she's sitting in like an old timey library. It's the coolest thing. And her teacher the first day was like, "Where are you?"
You'll never know.
And she's like, "I'm at Hogwarts," and I feel like. I feel like that teacher is just about to stand up and walk out. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, what is happening here? For a while, Callie was the only distance learning student. So it was like a real one-on-one with this teacher. And then all of a sudden, she's sitting in this old library talking about how she's at Hogwarts. So
I'm a wizard.
That's where I've gone with my life.
It's fun, though.
It's really fun. And my whole goal with this thing from the beginning was that I didn't want my kids, like when they're 30 and they reflect back on 2020 and 2021, I don't want them to remember being frustrated or scared or like feeling worried. I just want them to remember, oh yeah, that's the year my mom went crazy and sent us to Hogwarts.
Yeah. Just think of that story when they get older and like get married and like have their kids and life and just being like, yeah, I went to Hogwarts growing up. That's where we went to school in this grade. You know, people are going to sit and talk about the pandemic and your kids are going to be like,
that was happening?
It was a good year.
I went to Hogwarts
we had a
that
lot
year.
of fun.
I had a baby polar bear as a pet.
Yeah.
Oh man, my kids.
You make me want to like, you want to homeschool me? And like my mom, Barb, as all of you guys know,
be like Barb.
Very much loves Harry Potter. So like she is just loving all of it. Posts, comments on everything. Like, can I just come like join you guys?
I stopped posting things on Facebook because I'm like, okay, this is getting a little too far. But Instagram, I feel like Instagram is like a free for all. You can do whatever you want on Instagram. You can be as weird or as crazy. So yeah, everything goes on Instagram now. Not the Explore the North Shore Instagram. It's my personal Instagram. But it's just been so much fun. But also crazy. So that is why we haven't had a chance to sit down and record an episode because I became a professor at Hogwarts. There you go. That's the reason. Thank you for tuning back in. I do apologize. I would say we're going to be more regular with podcast episodes, but the truth is this is going to be kind of the way of the thing in the way of the world for the next, I don't know. My leave officially ends in December. I don't know if it's going to be possible to extend it. If it is, we do plan, we're not sending our kids back to school this year. That's kind of the 2020 and 2021. My kids will not be going to a physical school to learn, besides Hogwarts. Which in everybody's head has become a real thing now, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And so I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I'm warning you, you might get like an episode a month, maybe an episode every 2 months. Someday the world will stop being so insane and things can kind of start to re-normalize or become the new normal, whatever happens. And we will be back with more episodes. But we definitely had to get a Halloween-y...
Spooky season, how we're dealing with life, catch everybody up.
Kind of a catch up and explain a few things, but really we wanted a cool Halloween thing for you to do. There is no haunted ship this year, there's no haunted houses, and this is again on the North Shore, so the haunted ship, not open this year. The very cool haunted house that the Riddles came up with last year, I don't think that's happening this year. I don't see how it could. So that is probably not happening this year. If you want to catch up on that, though, we did go through it last year during its inaugural year with Matthew Baxley from the Boundary Waters podcast. If you want to hear an entire episode of me laughing at Matthew being terrified and trying not to punch people. That was that whole episode. So jump back to we went through a haunted house episode last year. Yay! Yeah, so Halloween is my favorite time of year. I'm really sad I was not able to bring you a whole bunch of super spooky haunted stories and stuff like I did last year, which was my favorite month of podcasting ever was October of last year.
Well, like a lot of places are closed. We tried to do no pemming, but they're not doing tours or anything. They did get back to me on that. So, like, we really did try to do stuff, but it's just very, very limited in what we can do.
Yep. So, this is what you get. You can go to a tunnel that's abandoned that hardly anybody else ever goes to. I will say it's a hidden gem, even though more people know about it now in more recent years because more people have been visiting it. But it's really out of the way. You have to be dedicated to go there. It's not like you're going to,
it's not something you're going to happen
that's where the Cramer Tunnel is. We should pull into this park. No, you're not going to drive past it. You're just not. There's nothing out there. Unless you live there, in which case you drive past it all the time. And hi, thank you for listening to my podcast. But you're not going to go there on purpose or go there on accident. You're going to go there on purpose. And if you're coming up in the month of October or even the month of November or even in the winter, because I feel like it's going to change its feel. Like the Kramer Tunnel in like Halloween, October, November, it's going to be spooky. But maybe in the summer or in the winter, it has more of like a winter. I don't know. Maybe we do have to go back because maybe it has a different feel. Kind of that crisp air and the like cold, and you're all bundled up, and
it will probably be lighter because of the snow.
Yeah, and then in the summer,
a way of making everything look brighter.
I'm sure it has a different feel in the summer too. I've never been there. I've only ever been there in October. So check it out. Visit. Again, I am going to put a lot of this information on the Exploring the North Shore website, but for right now, the best place to go would be the Kramer Tunnel website on Cascade Vacation Rentals website. I'll put this in the show notes. And check it out because it is a very cool place. I did try to write directions that made perfect sense and anybody could follow because a lot of those roads aren't the best labeled. And there's really no sign that tells you that the Cramer Tunnel is there. So it's one of the, like, even when we came up on it, you were following us. You were behind us. And I was like, okay, Cody, start to slow down because it turns right here, turn here.
Yep.
And he's like, phew! And Martha was like, well, that was sudden.
Thanks for the warning, guys.
So check it out. And again, thank you for sticking with us. We do apologize for the lack of episodes lately. I promise you, we are still here. We are still working. The world is still rotating. It's just been a crazy, crazy year. Someday we will be back to normal. But until then, thank you for listening to Exploring the North Shore.
I'm Martha.
And I'm Jay. And we'll see you again in like a month or two.
We'll try. We'll try so hard.
This podcast episode is sponsored by Cascade Vacation Rentals. They know that life has a tendency to be overwhelming at times, and busy schedules often leave people feeling overwhelmed and disconnected. That's why they're here. to offer you the space and opportunity to reconnect to what's important. Cascade Vacation Rentals has one of the largest selections of privately owned vacation rental homes and cabins on Minnesota's North Shore of Lake Superior, from Duluth to the Canadian border. Their team is there to help you and your family or small group enjoy a vacation you'll remember for years to come. Visit them online at www.cascadevacationrentals.com. And don't forget to use promo code PODCAST for the largest % off discount available at any given time. Again, that's www.cascadevacationrentals.com.